Am I allowed to play Total War while we're doing this?
We're live, by the way, Connor.
Forbidden.
All right. What's up, guys? It is Gene from HL, and with me today I have 1st Virginia. Is it Cav or Infantry?
Cav, my brother. Cavalry.
Cavalry. Join the Cavalry. Let's go around the table. Let's start with Johnson. Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Jordan. I go by the alias of Johnson in game. I'm the second lieutenant here at 1st VA Cav. Currently the head of the regiment. Been playing War of Rights for forever now, since early alpha and even the Kickstarter days. I backed this thing. Gone to the regimental scene in like 2022, 2021 time zone. So been around for a couple years. Many people know me. Yeah, that's everything about me.
Who is this guy?
Connor.
What's up, everyone? I'm Jake Connor. Real name is Dom. Picked John Connor because I saw it in the name, and I was like, you know what? Savior of humanity, savior of the South. Let's get it. I'm not as old as Jay is in the community. Probably been here for 3 or 4 years. I joined Johnson's first iteration of 5th US. And been with him ever since. So when he started up 1st VA, he asked me if I want to be 2IC, and I came over and moved up from, I think I was a corporal at that point, and here I am 1st sergeant. So, yeah, love it. I'm the one you guys mostly see in Kotau's videos. Johnson's currently busy with military stuff, so you might be familiar with who I am.
It is very refreshing to see a regiment that decides, let's not have a fucking lieutenant general leading the regiment. Let's have a second lieutenant. And I don't know. I think that's cool.
You just wait, man. You just wait. Give me a little more time, and
right.
burst out there with the ranks.
A week from now, you'll be a lieutenant colonel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, Gene. Johnson's actually very, very adamant about keeping the regiment as historically accurate as possible.
I like that a lot.
He based all the ranks off of how many guys we have active.
I support that. Henkel, Mr. Hanky Boy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sergeant Hinkle. I lead the Stuart Horse Artillery, and I've been playing War of Rights since August of 2022.
You used to be in 20th Mass, right?
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that. Okay.
They no longer exist. They got swallowed up like a Gario. It's all gone.
Well, moving on to Alden or Dom. Should I call you Dom?
It doesn't matter how you call me. I got a lot of aliases. A few days ago, I had another name. So I'm known in the regiment as Alden, corporal at this point. Currently acting platoon commander, 2nd platoon. Real life name is Dennis, and I'm here for 3 months now, give or take, something like that. So I'm a real new goober in the regiment.
Dennis the Menace, baby.
Also, I want to give props to Dom because, or I guess Dennis, because this was his entire idea. He came to me about, was it a month ago? And suggested
something like that.
Yeah, we suggested to do a couple of interviews with different regiments. And I thought I'd give the honor to 1st VA to be the first one.
Virginia.
All right, if y'all don't mind, 1st VA, let's jump into the questions. I was going to ask when you guys were first formed.
So we first formed back in December of this year's 2023, or is it 24 now? Yeah, 2023.
Bruh.
See, I don't even know my math. Anyways, so December 2023 is when we first formed up. Really, the regiment is it's like a combination of a few old regiments. So the main 2 regiments being my old 5th US Cavalry, like the guys from there who've been with me for a while now, like Connor said, and then some of the boys over from Henkel's 20th Massachusetts Regiment. They came on over a little bit later in the scene, and as well as Preacher's old 1st Virginia Cavalry. So guys who've been playing the game for a while, they know Preacher, the old 1st VA Cav, those guys came in here. So it's a bit of a combination of the 3 regiments. Like Connor said, I've been here for a little bit of time. 5th US Cavalry was my first regiment that I started up back in 2021, early 2021.
Yeah.
Did that for about 2 years, and then I stood it down. There's a complications, things just didn't go the way we wanted to go, and we decided to part ways with that regiment. And then took back up in early of 2022 or 2023, early December of that one again, and then we came over here to First VA. Apart from that, not much really. Too crazy about the start of the regiment. Pretty generic, start off with a few guys from other regiments. That's how most do, and then we've just built our way up ever since then. So all more guys coming over every day. So yeah.
Yeah, so I was gonna clarify on that. So the old first VA Cav, they just dissolved, or like, because I remember Preacher leading that way back in the day. When I
Yeah,
was around.
Myself and Henkel, actually, we were both part of that regiment at various points in
Right.
time, and so were a bunch of other previous members. I got to the rank of third lieutenant just at the very end of that. There's some things that happened in that regiment. People didn't see the way they want to go at certain points. Just like how many regiments do, there's just a time when things, got to move on, and sometimes, it's run its course, right? So, there was a time for that. That happened, but thankfully we managed to convince those guys to come back from their hiatus and to rejoin with us. And most of them came over here. Been pretty good. They were in third platoon, which is now our second platoon. So majority of the old first VA cab guys, including Preacher, they're over there now.
I gotcha. So it's not two different regiments. It's one.
It's one singular now. Yeah.
Gotcha. Right. So moving on to the different events that you play in, do you play every day of the weekend?
I'll let Henkel tackle this one.
I think we have a pretty flexible schedule. Wednesday nights we host our drills. That's the only event that we do. That is one of the two events that we do during the week. Most of our events are on the weekends. So yeah, Wednesday, camp of instruction. Friday we do Southern Aggression with you guys,
Base.
and then Saturday we like to do a little bit things different. Head over to the European side, play some UEC. That same day we like to do our artillery drill run by yours truly, and then Sunday we cap the weekend off with War Secession hosted by Hinkle's Legion. Oh, sorry, Hampton's Legion.
You can call it whatever you want. I don't mind. I mean, yeah, TSA, War Secession, both events we also play in.
Very tight community.
Right, yeah.
Most of the Friday guys, come to the Sunday as well.
Would you say that you're more of an NA or an EU regiment based off of that? Or maybe your attendance as well, I guess?
Do you guys want me to answer this? Or
Yeah, I mean, you do.
Yeah, I would say we're more of a North American based regiment. We do have our European players, and we do have an EU event that we try to attend to accommodate the European players that are within our regiments. But to answer your question, we are North American based.
I'll add on to Henkel's point there. I think like most regiments in the NA community, we are NA based with the hope of expanding ourselves into the EU scene.
Mm-hmm.
It just comes down to recruitment and finding NCOs, stuff like that. So luckily we have Alden here. Alden's based out of Belgium, so he's pretty much leading the EU scene as far as the NCO Corps. We have one other gentleman, Kalir, who is from the British Isles. So we're slowly expanding ourselves into the EU scene. A lot of great events in the EU scene as well as the NA scene. It's sort of the EU scene is a little bit more catered towards the historical play that we prefer in First VA, but it's just hard with getting guys in there and finding the actual guys. So predominantly, like Hinkle said, predominantly North American, hopes of expanding into the future with the EU category.
Agreed.
All right,
unholy godly hours on UAC events.
Yeah. I think HL we used to play UEC as well, but we're no longer part of it. I enjoyed UEC. It is fun. I like the more line style battles they do. And speaking of enjoyment, this is kind of a controversial question, but all right, I'm gonna go from each person here. What event that you play in do you enjoy the most? Start with Johnson.
I'll Honestly, for me, I think it'd be UEC is the one that I enjoy the most. Just because I like the way that the gameplay actually happens. Like I prefer more like slower based, line battle type fights. And I know the community is slowly like I've seen a change over the years of like what the community's like. Like for instance, you go maybe a year or two back, NA scene was playing like the event coordination events all the time, which is just your conventional, like it's like a pub match, right? You spawn
Right.
in, just go 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 type thing. And I'm seeing a bit of a change in that, like in the NA scene, more towards this historical play and line battles, focus on like longer range engagements. But the UEC just nails it. So for me personally, I love the UEC. I think it's a fantastic event. Sometimes the rules can limit what we're actually wanting to do, and sometimes it takes the enjoyment out of some things. But I think it gets more right than it does get wrong. So I'd say the UEC for me is definitely my favorite event for a while now.
Connor, what do you think?
Oh, I mean, people are going to say what they want to say about this, but I mean, I had a conversation with Wilkes last week. For me, my favorite event by far is Sunday night's War of Secession. I just love the tabletop aspect of it. I'm a big Total War fan. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Johnson's never really been a fan of the campaigns, so he let me take it over. And at first, was a little had my reservations about it because I was like, oh, there's a lot of rules to remember for the tabletop. And then once you get the hang of it, dude, it was fantastic. The guys over there having fun, shooting the shit. They've really helped me. Like I'm new to leading, so I'm not very familiar with all the maps and everything. And they're great over there about saying, I'll be like, hey guys, what does this map look like? Or I'm not familiar with this. What I can't ask them, obviously, it's in the rules what to pick, but they definitely help me out with making my decision. So I love it over there. And I mean, a lot of the units playing it are the same units we see on Fridays as well. So it's just
That's true. Yeah.
a little extra time with the boys. So War Secession is my favorite.
Yeah. I'm glad you enjoy our event. Yeah. Dennis, what do you think?
My favorite is the one where Johnson doesn't bleed. So
Agreed.
no, I'm just kidding. No, I don't have a favorite. What makes me enjoy the game is how we act as a group within our regiment, how we communicate, how we play tactical. If something seems like we're not gonna win, then all the tactics are coming up in our heads. We communicate and we win the day. That are the events that I love to play and wake up for at 2 a.m. in the morning. So
If there's one you had to pick out, would
I
you pick
really can.
You can't.
Then
That's fair. That's fair.
I would say UAC because I don't have problems with the misses for that. So
I got you. Henkel?
I could probably have like two answers here because I play both artillery and cav and infantry. But I enjoy Southern Aggression a lot. A lot of fast paced and competitive, gameplay. A lot what you see in the NA scene. I really like it a lot. I kind of wish it would. It was initially going to be a little more historical. A lot of line battle and slow movements, but it's kind of turned into the typical fast paced and a competitive scene, which is completely fine. But I like that there's no Steamchat or any sort of outside comms with the other regimental leaders, so you have to send messengers across, and I enjoy that a lot. But as an artillery player, I enjoy War of Secession a lot. The artillery players on the CSA side, Win War Secession, us, MB, JD, and others. I enjoy it a lot over there playing artillery.
Don't let him fool you. It's also the easiest one for him to get artillery on, so he's biased.
Yeah, it's facts, dude.
That is true. We usually try and get everybody already that wants it.
That's why we love it.
And speaking of what you were talking about, Henkel, about no Steamchat, I was going to go around everybody and ask again, like, do you guys prefer events with runners and no Steamchat, or would you find events with Steamchat more enjoyable?
Absolutely. Like without Steamchat and with runners, like I said, we're all about like the immersive and like the historical play. So anything that, and also I mean from a gameplay perspective and leadership too, is like anything that reduces the amount of comms I have to have with other people, like not in the unit, is great. I prefer like not having like 20 people like screaming in my ear saying go left, and I'm looking to my left and I see like a house. I'm like, what is there on the left, right? So definitely it lets you think more. Like I used to play, and I know HGC got rid of the Steam chat. I believe so. I'm not, don't quote me
No,
on it.
it's just
It's still there.
yeah, it's still there.
Still use it.
Still
Okay, so
has
I
it.
remember we played. We used to play HGC back in Fifth US, and that was one of my biggest gripes with that event.
Right.
Was just the Steam comms, right? Like it's sometimes it's overpowering, and it would it would take the fun out of the event, right? It's because you're just having to deal with other people talking nonstop in your ear, and then people arguing. So it's just, I think without it, it creates a better experience all around for the game, and I think that's how War of Right should be played, is using the
Right.
in-game comms. So that's my perspective. I think everyone shares the same sentiment, but that's for me, is I think 100% in-game comms only, send runners. That's the way to experience War of Rights.
Everybody agrees.
Personally, I've never played in an event. Well, I mean, I have played in them, but I've never been privy to the Steam chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't really say. I enjoy runners. I think it's cool, especially when Gene runs across the field. Hey, Wilkes is saying we're charging full rate, and I'm like, okay, let's go do it. But I've only really been able to experience the runners. Plus, if I don't catch it, one of the other guys is going to catch it and relay it to me or something, and so on and so forth. Plus, it just gets the guys familiar with other people from other regiments. So I'm personally a fan of runners. But
That's a great point, by the way. I wouldn't know a lot of people if it weren't for the fact that they would run up to me and shout at me in my face. But
I'll tell you, Wilkes is very recognizable.
Oh, yes,
in
he is.
sudden aggression.
Yep.
Like I don't even have to be like beside him, and I'll just hear screaming it, or Hood, and I'll be like, oh fuck, like these guys, there they are.
Yeah. Wait, also, I feel like personally, it makes it more relaxed because you don't constantly have these voices in the back of your head that are telling you like what's going on. I'd rather just, like you said, just find it out myself on the field.
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes people better leaders too, because it's going to force me to sit there on my binoculars and figure out what's going on that right flank.
Precisely.
Or just run over there and say, hey, what's going on?
Yep.
Instead of just relying on someone that's 200 yards away to call out through Steam chat, yo, I'm getting the crap beat out of me. Come help me out, because then I don't know who I'm going to,
Yeah. Moving on, I had a question here that I feel like has been partially answered already, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. So I know Johnson's response to this, but would you guys say that you'd prefer events that feature a campaign or don't feature a campaign?
I guess I'll go first.
Yeah, go ahead, Ankle.
So I guess like what you mean is like events that have like the outside tabletop, like
Right, exactly, yeah.
Okay. I prefer just having just the normal skirmish, campaign aspect. Obviously we all play War of Rights, so we're all playing, the Maryland campaign. So when I play War of Rights, I am playing the Maryland campaign. And it's not me knocking events that, do campaigns in tabletop, but I've just seen that there's a lot of work that goes into a tabletop for only the regimental leaders for their enjoyment. Like none of my guys are,
right.
In the War of Secession, Discord and know what's going on in the tabletop. And I'm not even sure if half these guys even know that, hey, we just, fought in the Bull Run campaign. All they see is just, Schoolhouse Ridge on nighttime.
Yeah.
And don't get me started on nighttime.
Right.
This will be a whole freaking hour long podcast. But I'd prefer the when events, based around what's actually in the game.
But I know that you kept up for War of Secession. You kept up a sort of like a news report for First VA, right? Or like you would post the updates.
I tried my best, posting the casualties or the results of each battle.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of got away from me after a while. Because I think I just after Sunday
It
events,
is
I
a
work
big
nights,
effort
I got to
to
go to
keep
bed.
it going. Yeah.
But there just wasn't, a lot of like, oh, like what I would want is like if our guys would be like, oh man, oh we're fighting, in Manassas, like Fairfax Courthouse. But I think that's one thing that a tabletop campaign can struggle with is engagement with your members of your own regiment.
Definitely.
It just seems like it's that own fun thing that us leaders get to do in Cord and view a tabletop table and kind of move our pieces around and see. But I think the con of that is not a lot of our guys get to be a part of that.
I definitely agree that they can become like a disconnect between, like you said, it's fun for us sitting in Cord, but for the people that aren't a part of it, it's usually hard to connect with the others in your regiment, I guess, right?
It's just a normal War of Rights game to them,
exactly.
in my opinion. Like they don't like what Connor, it's his favorite event, and when he leads, he's playing to attack Fairfax Courthouse, and there's obviously certain rule sets in the game that from the tabletop that apply to the field, like like tokens and stuff. Like this is our token, or this is so and so's token, and somebody's like, "What the hell's a token?" So it's hard, but as long as they enjoy it, and I can share the results and what happened, and they have a good idea of it, I think it's got something.
And I'm guessing Connor and Johnson have already kind of answered how they feel about it, but do you have any other comments you guys want to share?
I would kind of agree with what Henkel said. Like the tabletop can be difficult just in the terms of hard to keep up with what's going on or what's being done. I always try to keep the guys appraised of it. Doesn't mean that they understood it. But my biggest gripe, and really the only gripe that I had, and it kind of plays back to what you'd mentioned with, keeping the guys or having the newscast for the War of Secession, was there weren't really too many like map updates afterwards. So that could have been kind of frustrating for the guys, but I don't see it like it wasn't like a major problem. But I definitely, like I said earlier, I enjoyed the tabletop campaigns.
I'll just I'll add on my part here. So it's not necessarily that I hate like the campaigns or the idea of them. Like I've played a bunch of campaigns. Like for instance, HEC, there was North and South did one, and then or not North and South. I think it was Blue and Gray did one for a little bit, and then now we have War of Secession, and Maryland campaign too, right? So I've played all sorts of campaigns, and for me, honestly, we've said the disconnect with the members, and sure, yeah, that's a thing too, and it sucks, right? Like when we're saying like, hey guys, we're fighting for Fairfax County, right? And the guys are like, what do you mean we're fighting for Fairfax? We're playing
where the hell is Fairfax County?
Yeah, we're playing Bolivar Heights. What does this have to do with this, right? So, it's like,
that is very.
But for me,
church.
Yeah, this isn't where it's supposed to be. No, but like for me, honestly, I can't be bothered to sit in like coordination for an hour, like, or for was it? We start the events at 8:00. Supposedly, coordination's supposed to start at 7 when we do the event balancing, which already in itself for some events just feels like it takes an eternity, right? But to add onto the tabletop, which sometimes can take an hour and a half, right? Depending. And it's just like for me, I want to play the game just to enjoy, relax, right? Shoot some guys and hang out with the boys, right? Like I don't mind the other regiment commanders, but sometimes it can just be like, I'm sitting here for like 6:00 and I'm just like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
I feel
so
that.
For me, it's that, like that part of it, right? Maybe call me impatient or whatever, but that's my biggest gripe with this. It just sometimes it can take too long, and at that point you're losing interest in what the idea is, right? So for me at least, that's my point. Sure, there's the disconnect, but definitely I think it requires a lot of time to be invested in a campaign.
Yeah.
Event, so
I disagree. I always felt War of Secession coordinations went by faster.
Shut up, Connor.
There's a lot of to use like an English term, there's a lot of lollygagging between the different people, and in Cord usually, soundboards and whatever, but
It's all events.
That is very true. That is very true. And the more people you have in there, this just gets worse and worse. But, yeah. So moving on to something that's I don't know if you call it boring, but I'm still interested to hear what the structure looks like in your regiment. You've already mentioned that you kind of have a more realistic rank structure.
There's no structure here.
No structure?
Don't tell them that. Don't tell them that.
Make me officer.
Yeah. Last week, Heiko was colonel, so
Oh,
no
God.
structure at all.
Oh, you're changing our names.
Yeah, I mean, I can touch up on that. So, first VA right now we have two subgroups. So we have the battery, which is run by Henkel, and then we have our B Troop or Berkeley Company, which is run, which is our Cav or line company, whatever you want to call it. So within the regiment, the structure is basically we're trying to keep it to company size, so like historically what would be for a Confederate cavalry company, just because we don't want to like have too many the NCO to enlisted ratio, right? There's a lot of units that, and I've been a part of them too, there's a lot of units that just have like they show up to an event with say like 15 guys, but they're all NCOs, right? Or they're all
I hate that.
sergeants, lieutenants, right? So it can definitely be a lot at times. So we like to keep it small. So for instance, for us, we're limiting ourselves to say, for instance, that max 4 officers, 4 sergeants, and 4 corporals. So that's the max amount that we're going to allow in our regiment. And just because that was historically the regulations for Virginia Cavalry Company. I think it works better in our favor too, because it makes us think more about what do we want for each rank. Like we can define the responsibilities and we can really flesh them out and make people like actually become pretty good at that job. So I think making it harder to get a rank makes it more valuable as opposed to say, you've been here for 3 months. There you go. You're a sergeant now. Yeah. So I think it creates, like I said, it creates meaning to what we're doing, right? So I like that part of it. The battery, for instance, like they have their own thing going right now where Henkel's leading it. He's the sergeant, and then they're going off of a section or a piece right now, which is 1 sergeant, 2 corporals, and then the enlisted. And then, of course, the idea is as we grow as a unit, we get to that 20-man, 25-man number, 30-man numbers, and so on and so forth. We're gonna obviously open up more positions, right? So it's just keeping it nice and condensed.
I like that a lot. It's honestly something that I really like regiments to do that sort of thing. Same thing with 42nd PA, and there's a lot of other regiments to do that, but I actually kind of give huge props to that. Johnson, how would you say the role of an NCO looks like for First VA outside and inside the game?
No, give that question to Alden.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, it depends. It depends a bit on how you are as a person as well. But what is expected of an NCO is know the basis. The basis with us is School of the Trooper. So pretty much the basic drill commands that we need to know and that we need to teach to our volunteers or privates. Besides that, our other duties are a bit of administration, pinging for events, put the event schedule up, stuff like that. And then during the battles, we have to keep an eye on our left and right, because we stand on the left and the right of the file to see that we have everyone within the file, stuff like that. And then, depending on how you are as a person, you can get more tasks if you up for it and if you can. So, but that's the basis of what we need to know as an NCO. Additionally, an NCO or corporals need to know School of the Platoon as well, if we are ever want to be eligible for getting a promotion to sergeant. So.
I didn't mean to steal anybody's thunder. I just figured Alden would be great at answering that question.
He sounds like a future sergeant major.
He's
God damn, thank you very much.
Funny you say that, because he's actually a sergeant major in real life.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, Civil War too.
In my opinion, in terms of being an NCO, I believe Alden is better than I am, actually, of being an
Facts.
NCO. I think he's fantastic. He does way more than what any corporal should ever do. Like, he's a platoon leader for 2nd Platoon right now, interim, as their original platoon leader is on LOA at the moment. So, I mean, just like stepping up into that position as a corporal is fantastic. And it's not something we would expect out of him. And he's fit into the role well. He's embraced it. He's had his ups and downs, just like everybody does, but he's stuck through it, and he's been amazing. So, in my opinion, Alden is what the first VA wants out of an NCO. Like, we can say all the things we want to say about it, but Alden embodies it, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's whatever.
He's
Hankel.
average. He's average. I'll just quickly like break down like what the ranks are supposed to do. So, like I said, with ranks having meaning. So, for instance, like the corporals, right? Alden went into it about what they is. So, school trooper, that's like our basic training, right? Teaching you the basic fundamentals of the game. Getting guys accustomed to it, because not every player's been a veteran for years, right? We got new guys coming in all the time. They may not know. Oh, I didn't know I could press 5 and get a shotgun round like buck and ball, right? So it's making sure that you're available to the newest members 24/7, able to answer questions, just being the role model, like Alden said. You're the ideal person of the first VA. You represent the core spirit, the esprit de corps of what we want out of our members. And of course, they have responsibilities in battles. Like, for instance, like Alden said, watching the flanks. So in all of our battles, sergeants, they're going to be on the far right flanks, just being the left and right guides, keeping the men stacked together. The corporals are going to be inside the ranks, keeping the men nice dressed, relaying commands, your generic.
Yep.
Every regiment does the same thing, right? The first sergeant, as Connor, he's behind the line. He's not really involved in the shooting anymore. I mean, of course, he can go up there and shoot if he needs to, but he's more responsible for the structure and the discipline. He wants to make sure that the boys are nice and dressed. He wants to make sure that our lines look pretty. We get where we need to go. He knows the command I'm going to give before I even say it, right? So all these positions, we try and teach people drill guys up, get them to read. We use a historic manual, Poinset's cavalry tactics. We use that. So all of our drill comes from that. So when we say school the trooper, when we say school the platoon, these are all like actual schools within that manual that teaches you, proper 19th century drill. So we put a lot of emphasis on doing these movements correct, doing them accurately, and doing them very pretty. So there's a lot of emphasis on that, and I think the NCOs really help the guys understand what it is that they're doing and why they need to be in these positions. So I think that's the ideal description of the NCO for our unit is, just making sure you're a role model to the privates and you're getting them where they need to go.
I just like to say Johnson put me as first sergeant because he knows I'm a better shot than him, and I beat him in all of our marksmanship contests. So he gave me a role where I can't shoot.
No, I'm taking over this whole regiment once he goes on deployment. It's okay.
Those are some
20th Mass coming back.
Oh my God, it's a coup.
Summer 2025.
It's a coup. I was going to ask, because you mentioned that you had Stewart's Horse Artillery and you had different companies within First VA. What's the background for each one?
What do you mean by the background for each
one? Does each company have their own kind of company identity, and if so, is there anything they'd like to talk about?
I think the artillery is probably like the most unique out of all of us. Really, with like the cavalry, we're one company right now. We're Company B, the Berkeley Troop. So I guess what I try to push on the members is, be that gallant Virginia Cavalier, portray yourself in that way. So, feathers in our hats, nice riding boots, look pretty, big mustaches, big beards, we're trying to give off that Southern aristocratic vibe. But I think Henkel can answer for the artillery, because those guys didn't breed.
No, that's my time to shine, baby. Yeah, the battery's really only been, a battery for probably just over a month. I want to say we started doing this back in May. Most of these, guys who play with me are a lot of older players. They've been in the game for, a long time. And, some of them are probably, obviously new, but, I get I have a bunch of players that come from many different backgrounds, but I would say most of them have just played this game for a long time, and probably just want to try something new. They've been playing under Johnson, doing point sense cavalry tactics for a while, and I'm sure they kind of just want to shoot some cannons and blow some shit up. We're pretty small, so we like to keep the the battery not too big as the cavalry, because obviously we don't want like a, I don't know how to describe it, but
50
like,
artillerymen and 20
pretty
horsemen.
much. But we like to have our historical rank structure as well. To we don't got like 50 corporals running around as well. There isn't really anything too special between both the cavalry guys and the artillery guys. We play under a different manual than them, and so any guy who wants to kind of play artillery, they have to have a good understanding of point sets, just like everybody who plays here has to have a good understanding of point sets. So when they come over to artillery, they're learning relatively almost kind of like how we discussed school of the trooper, you got school of the platoon. Well, now you're coming over and you're learning school of the piece and school of the battery. So I would there isn't really any special background, but I love my artillery players, and I could tell you now they're a special group, and we try to come out every event, try to perform the best we can, and just have a lot of fun.
They're special, all right.
I think every artillery group in this game is very special.
I hate you all.
No, we love you guys.
We love you too.
So we've kind of covered the basis of what is First VA and where did you come from, where'd you go? Cottonajo, yeah. Oh, now we're going to move on more to the opinion pieces. And my first question is quite controversial, but going around the table again, and I'm going to start with Connor this time. Do you have any favorite regiment that you play with?
You have to tell us if you're a cop.
Oh, here we go.
Actually, I do. Yes. 7th Tennessee Cavalry is probably my favorite regiment to play with, and the reason being,
3rd Tennessee.
I don't. Who knows what Disco's doing?
He's watching the stream, right? He's watching this right now.
Disco freaking switches up like I can't even. My sister does with her men, dude. It's ridiculous. For the viewers who don't know, Disco is an old member of the 5th U.S. He's very near and dear to a lot of the older guys in the regiment. Almost every muster we go to, I can always count on me and Disco somehow finding each other, whether it's me hunting him down or him hunting me down, and just hanging around and goofing off during muster and having our lines kill each other or executing one of the officers, whatever it may be. But no, I absolutely love playing with his unit. And as an overall, he's part of TB, so I guess that could extend to Knights Tennessee Brigade.
Shout out to Teddy Brigade.
Tuberculosis. There we go.
We love TB.
Dom. Speaking of which, Disco just messaged me.
Yeah, he's texting on the stream too. Hey, Dennis, do you have any favorite regiment that you play with?
Hard to say because I'm pretty new in the community, but I don't know what regiment it is. But I have enormous respect for Agrippa on how he handles things on the battlefield, how he communicates and stuff like that, and it's fun to see and watch how he does it. And I like working with him and with his boys. So don't know what regiment he's in, but if I must say one, then it's Agrippa's.
Yeah,
he's a good pub officer and good admin too. I enjoy him.
Henkel.
Oh, here we go. I think I'm not gonna go on the NA scene. I like 56 Virginia a lot. We play with them in UEC. The German Volunteers. I was with them for a brief stint as their goofy English-speaking actual Virginian volunteer. I have so much high respect for them and the way they play.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, they have some of the greatest and nicest people that I've ever met. And at a time when I left the First Virginia Cavalry, it was obviously a little sad at the time, but they let me join them, and I had so many great memories and made a lot of new friends there. And the Germans fight hard, and they're highly disciplined and very smart when it comes to the game. So I really enjoy anytime I can play alongside them. It's always a good time.
They're part of German Corps, right? I'm not getting that wrong.
They are part of the German Volunteers, which consists of them: 52nd New York, 18th North Carolina, and I believe AGL, 8th Alabama German Legion. And if there are any other more, I'm sure I will have a screaming German in my DMs, which I will gracefully hear and listen to because I love them so much. But yeah, shout out to those guys.
Johnson?
I'll answer, I guess, both scenes. So, EU side, I love my 20th New Yonkers. Those guys are buns and fries, man. I love those guys. Como, Weber. I don't know. I've always joked around that I'm going to join them as the only English guy. And they're like, they always message me like, yeah, can you do it? So I love the 20th New York. Anytime I get to play with them, they're really fun to play with and just really solid dudes. 56 Virginia, you always catch them chanting Virginia in the background. Love playing with them. But as for the NA scene, man, it's hard. There's a lot of good units. Like, I love working with 42nd PA. It's always fun listening to Hood run around, start screaming at people. Wilkes, who doesn't love Wilkes, especially when he's in your ear. I don't know, man. It's I'd have to say it's either Hampton's Legion or 42nd PA. Those are my favorite units to work with. Just because the personalities. Like, I like the people that you'll find those regiments, and I just like the banter that they have with each other. So, and also, I mean, they're great to work with on the field too. Like, when you have those two units beside you, you're gonna get a victory. So I think HL or 42nd PA for me. Those are my favorite units to work with.
It's funny because 42nd PA is also like one of my favorite regiments on the NA side. They're so great. Especially, I mean, have you seen their volleys? It's incredible.
We feel them, man. Every time we're 10-man line, we just fucking disappear.
Yep. They're one of the most highly disciplined units I've seen. And it's a lot of, I want to know their secret because they have, 35 to 40 guys. And it's like, I see the most perfect double ranks I've ever seen.
They have some secret sauce.
They do. They're putting something in the water in Pennsylvania. They do have a sergeant major, and maybe that's what we need here. But yeah, they're so disciplined, and they're obviously you don't want to be on the. it's scary being on the other end of a charge or volley or 100%. Anything if 42nd PA is in front of you.
Yeah,
they're like what the LFL is for NA. I remember back when we were 5th US going up against LFL and UEC and HRE, and every time we'd see the French, we're like, "Oh, run away, no!"
They got like 40 French guys running at you. You'd be running too.
LFL they're huge on the battlefield. I mean, you feel their presence.
Massive.
Actually, that reminds me, 3rd Alabama, UEC, all the Russians, man. You feel like you're defending the Reichstag, dude, when those guys come after you. It's scary. It's scary. I love Williamson. I'm always asking for his feet pics. Don't ask me why.
So,
I got them.
I asked that questions. Now we're going more specific. Is there any particular people that you especially enjoy in the community? And I guess I'll start with Johnson on this.
Who do I like? I like Alden. He's all right. I like Connor. This Henkel guy is all right too, I guess.
Fuck you.
I don't know. That's hard because I get along well with pretty much everyone. There's very few people who I think I have disagreements with. I think most of the time, like everyone, I've always had a good time interacting with people. Man, I don't know. I think I've had the funniest encounters with Collector from IDB.
Oh yeah.
In game.
Uh-huh.
I think I've had the funniest moments with him. But as to like working with, I don't know. That's actually a tough question.
It could just be funny encounters too. I have tons of those with Henkel.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
I
no.
love working like Rollins in pubs always kills me. He's just screaming 24/7. So
He is very
like
loud.
yeah. Honestly, front loader.
Yes. Yes.
Front loader and oh fuck, I don't know if he still plays anymore, but Formless Nut. I don't know.
Does. I saw
Something
him yesterday.
he still does? Okay, yeah. Something about those guys, like I don't know if it's just the voice or the characters that they do. I laugh and I smile.
It's
so.
it's a personality they bring to
Yeah.
the game that just makes it way more enjoyable, especially in like a Civil War simulator where you have a guy just like screaming and singing like in this personality that you just it doesn't make sense for ACW, but it's just funny.
Dennis, do you have any people? You mentioned Agrippa for one.
Yeah, I've been his NCO in the pubs a few times, working with him together, and that's why I think I say his name again. Like the way he handles things. He's smart on the battlefield. He knows the map. He knows what he's doing, and yeah, maybe Johnson should follow him from time to time, teach him some things. But no, I'm just
Facts.
kidding.
Johnson
All
sucks
right.
at this game.
All right.
This guy sucks at war rights, dude. Like he needs to.
No, for me it's Agrippa for the same reasons. If I must say any, like being his NCO in pubs. So
That's
I
fair.
should kiss.
Yeah.
I would do that for the right amount of money.
boy.
Oh my.
We got a declaration of love right here, boys. Connor, what about you?
I have quite a few. I already mentioned Disco. Absolutely love Disco. I really enjoy Wilkes and Knight. You as well, Gene. I love seeing you run around the map. It's great. I enjoyed Kotal a lot.
Yes.
And I know he doesn't lead a regiment or doesn't. He plays every now and then, but not typically too much. But I do enjoy watching his videos and seeing his feedback. I used to watch those all the time. I haven't watched them as much as I used to, but when I was first started leading, I was almost every event we played at, I would watch Kota's videos and just see what his feedback was on how I positioned the men or what I was doing compared to what the other guys or the other regiments were in the battle and how they were operating, just to try to get a better feel for what I should have done or what I could have done for the next event or the next time we played that map or the next time we were in that situation. There's a couple guys in the regiment I really enjoy working with. Alden, absolutely love him. Johnson is a given. I wouldn't be here if I didn't enjoy Johnson. Henkel and I used to have our differences quite a bit.
I still hate you.
Early on, I think him and I's relationship has gotten much better. I think he's fantastic in CO. He does a lot of administration around here. More than yeah.
Say what?
But then there's also, and I'm going to catch some flack for this. I thoroughly enjoy a few gentlemen from 6 New York. One of them being Charles. He used to be a member of our regiment, and he ended up leaving to go over there. He felt like it was a better fit, which we all blessed him and said, "Hey, go enjoy yourself. If you think it's better, go over there." I absolutely love that guy. I still play video games with him almost at least every week. And then I always tell everybody that the two people I learned everything I know from was Johnson and Parker. So I got to give Parker a little bit of a shout out here. He taught me a lot about being a cavalryman. So I enjoy those two probably the most, Johnson and Parker.
Shout out to Parker and Kotal. Yeah.
Indeed.
Now I feel like an asshole for like my half-assed response. I only said like 2 people. No one in this regiment. Oh, great. Yeah, I like the guys in my regiment. No, they're cool.
Yeah. Mr. Henkel.
Ooh, I really wish I could just put so many different people on this list, but one for me is Sergeant Tucker of the 56th Virginia. Going back to the Germans again, he's been a friend of mine for so long. ever since I started playing this game. Even outside of the game, if we're in Discord calls, like, face cams, vibing, playing different games, chatting, he's been such a great friend of mine for so long. And, it sucks that, he lives across the ocean, because he really is, someone really special to me. Personally, he's helped me get through a lot of tough times, especially when I've, really needed someone to talk to. So I love that man. So shout out to Tucker, even though you're definitely asleep right now, not watching this. But maybe I'll
you can watch it tomorrow.
I'll send this to him. Yeah, I'll send it over to him. But yeah, Tucker, Sergeant Tucker of the 56th Virginia, he's one of them for me.
All right. I guess moving on to kind of a broad question, but we'll get into specifics. What do you guys currently think of the state of the game right now, as it is?
Give me Cav.
Oh boy, here we go.
We will get to that, but a general opinion of, do you feel like the game is in a good state?
I guess I'll go first, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going in a good direction, and I think anybody who's been in the community for a very long time knows that how long the development has been.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure like how far back this game goes. Like, I've only been playing it for just 2 years, but I understand, that this dev team is very small. They, they're not like, fucking EA or, all these massive game developing companies. So they're going to put, a lot of time and effort in their games. But eventually, we'll get there. To answer your question, I think the game's, in a good spot. We recently just got 350-man servers. We're getting our optimization, which, as much as players are like, I want, horses, new content into the game and stuff like that. Well, if you get all that bullshit, next thing you know, snake fence blows up and your computer fucking explodes because, there's no optimization in the game. So all that stuff's very important in game creating. But I do believe it's slowly, but, it's going in a good direction. And obviously it's really fun to, see new players play the game, all the new level ones that come in pubs, especially through the new Steam, Steam sale. It's very, awesome, like answering questions or teaching guys how to play the game. And also you hope that, these players stay, for the long run and, become a part of this community for the long run.
Connor, what do you think?
I guess I could say what I said earlier. Give me my Cav. No. In terms of general gameplay of the game, I think it's great. I really enjoyed the implementation of the 5-second timers on the flags. I feel like that made the games a lot more fast-paced. They were not necessarily stagnant or slow before, but the events could get quite boring after a while.
Right.
I think it's allowed for a lot more like heavy engagements and full-on charges and people standing out in the open and just constant fire at each other. Like, there's always action going on. I'm not too familiar with the development, time frame of the game. Like I said, I've only been here for 2 or 3 years, never really paid too much attention to it. I would like to see some more customization options for First VA Cav. Shout out First VA Cav.
That's us.
But I think it's good. I enjoy it. The Steam sales definitely help a lot of the regiments with recruitment, like Ankle said. But in terms of like events, I think I would like to see a little bit more of the different game modes added in than just besides skirmish.
And the public servers?
Public servers, private events, so on and so forth.
Yep.
So,
Dennis, what do you think about the game right now?
Well, it's okay. I like it a lot. Few things I don't like, for example, you you have to constantly keep on moving. If you're AFK 1 minute,
Yeah.
then you're dead.
Oh my
So
god, that shit's so
Yeah.
annoying.
yesterday during Barry's ceremony, it was a pain in the ass. But hey, so I don't like that. What I would like to see, and I don't know if that's possible, of course, but optimization in your own drill camp server. That would be nice if you can customize your own drill camp a little bit, so it doesn't look like every other drill
Mhm.
camp, and make
That'd
it
be
more
pretty sick,
personal.
actually.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
That
That
would
would
be
be
cool.
fun because I like role playing as well. But
Put the
it,
latrines
yeah,
in the middle of the camp.
it gives something extra.
Yeah.
So
Johnson?
Oof, okay. Well, I started back in like 2017, man. So
Yeah,
like
yeah, you got
I
everything.
first played
He's the
the
grandpa.
Right.
I'm the old man, dude. I'm crusty guy, and I'm like, oh, back in my day, we had 32-man drill camp servers. So I still remember when they added in like controllable artillery. That was something. I think honestly the game's going in a very good direction. I think it's slow at times. Like I'm not gonna like beat them over the head for it because like it's a small dev team, but like
Mhm.
there is times where the lack of, I guess, maybe just like lack of public media or like just lack of
Communication
updates.
with the community.
Yeah, communicate
Yeah.
like lack of
It's
communication.
very
Like
poor.
the dev,
Yeah.
it's gotten better than what it used to be, which was like almost nothing, and then just randomly an update would drop. But I think the lack of communication sometimes really kills like some of the governments. There's definitely times where like we lose a lot of guys because nothing's happening, right? Like nothing changes.
Right.
So they keep dangling like the horses in front of us, right? Like they keep saying,
Mhm.
"Oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming," right? It's been coming since 2018, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know
Yep.
how like where we are with them right now, but a lot of guys, I always message them. They're like, "Are horses out yet?" And they're like, and I'm like, "Nope." And they're like, "Okay, well, let me know when they come back, and I'll come back." So I'm like, "Well, never again." So I think it's going in a good place. I mean, honestly, I'm not a big fan of contention or conquest. I just personally don't like those game modes.
Mhm.
Something that really got me excited, not sure where it's at anymore, was like modding tools and
Right.
the resources
Yeah.
we could do. So I'm definitely interested to get my hands on that, to start like experimenting and seeing like what type of functions we can do with that. What can we make our own game modes? Can we make our own maps? That's the stuff that like I'm interested in, because I think if anyone's played like Mountain Blade, like Napoleonic Wars, that was like you could really do whatever you want to make your own custom maps or regiments, do whatever, because we're playing the same maps that we've played since
Yeah.
beginning, right?
The beginning.
So definitely Shepherdstown, still waiting on that. Trusty Jam,
Coming
we're
soon?
Shepherdstown, coming soon, well, hopefully. So I
When I'm
think
retired.
yeah, I think it's going in a good. I think it's heading in the right direction. I think it just needs to, like, the devs need to just be more open with communication, like,
Yeah.
and maybe just be open with like the progress, right? Show us like the in progress stuff. Maybe just screenshots of, hey, this is what we're working on right now, right?
Yeah.
Something to keep the guys interested and be like, oh, okay, this is definitely. And I know that they don't want to give like time zones and like
A
time
time
frames.
frame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
time frame
Yeah.
for something, but I think any sort of information would be better than nothing. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely do need a be engageful with their community.
I totally agree. So I had, with this question, I had like 4 different things written down that everybody here has touched on in some way or shape. And not to be redundant, but there is one question that I was going to ask is, and Connor's already given kind of his opinion on it. So we'll start with Dennis. Dennis, what do you feel about the new flag timer respawn from 10 seconds to 5 information?
Difficult. I don't see a lot of benefits in it, because if you get a strong volley against you, then you have like 20 people waiting on the flag, and you still have to wait like 500 minutes until you are back in the game, so you can easily spawn mate and get back on your horse. So I don't know if it's
Horse?
yeah, pony or whatever. So I don't know if it's better. So I'm biased.
I understand. Johnson?
Quick interjection
Oh, yeah.
here.
Go ahead.
We do have good Sergeant Robinson in the audience if we are willing to invite him up on stage. Gene, that's up to you.
Oh yeah, sure. Let's bring Robinson in here.
Okay, I'll add my thoughts. What's up, Rob?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hello.
So my thoughts on the timer. Honestly, I'm like an oblivious person, so like I don't really like pay too much detail to
We
what
know.
goes on. So for me, I don't see a like for my own lines, I don't really see like a massive difference that everyone else is talking about. Like for me, it seems the exact same, maybe a little bit faster. I think it just comes down to situations, right? But I I like the events. I really did like how it was before. So where you sort of have to think more about what you're
What you're
doing with your
doing.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like the faster we have guys spawn in, it kind of makes all the tactics and all that
Mhm.
stuff kind of
Yep.
redundant, right? Because like I can just bayonet charge over and over again, and then guys are just spawning back in, right?
Yep.
There's no point, right? So, I don't know. People might disagree with my points here, and people might say like, "Oh, you're fucking stupid." But I don't know. From my perspective, I think leave it as what it was. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's my thought. So I can't tell too much of a difference, honestly. If guys are spawning in faster and faster, and it's refilling lines, what's the point of volleying anymore, right? It's
Yeah.
just going to push guys to charge in. So, and I think we've seen a little bit of a shift like that in some of the events where it's become more. I know that my biggest gripe was with the Southern Aggression, especially when we play Harper's Ferry, it just comes down to bayonet charges. But I think that's also Harper's Ferry in itself. But honestly, anything that promotes more volleys is going to get cookies from me. So
We also had Robinson just join us, so if you want to introduce yourself, Robinson, you can.
Hey, I'm Sergeant Robinson. I've been with the regiment since about November of last year, and started playing a little bit before that. So I'm still fairly new to the community, but happy to have a home here at First Virginia Cavalry.
Yee.
EE.
Robinson, what do you think about the new flag respawn timer change?
I kind of agree with Johnson that it promotes more the faster pace, bayonet charges, which is kind of the way that it seemed that we were playing anyway. But now we see a lot more regiments doing it, and I kind of miss the line battle aspect of it.
Yeah. Connor?
The giggles.
Against the storm.
So I think out of everybody here, I've had the most leading experience since the 5 second flag time change. Just with Johnson's, absence with the military and Henkel leading battery, he doesn't get to experience the flag too much besides maybe one round out of each event every week. But it's allowed me to play the play style that I want to play, which sometimes is tactical, sometimes is very aggressive, depending on the situation. And like I said earlier, I'm still new to leading, even though I've been doing it for the last 2-3 months consistently. There'll still be times where I'm looking one direction and having the guys run the another direction, and I don't see an entire line in front of us. And next thing I know, I have to call a bayonet charge because we're within 5 yards of an enemy regiment and we're all wiped. I mean, we're all back within 10, 20, 30 seconds instead of, hey, everybody spawn at main and then let's go run for another 30 seconds to get back in the engagement. So it's allowed me to not necessarily be like super punished for the mistakes I make as a new leader, but still learn from them while being able to stay in the battle and do what I'm supposed to do. So I've enjoyed that. I feel like it's also changed the atmosphere of the game drastically. I know Robinson, Johnson, and the rest of the guys said that they don't feel like it's changed too much, but for me at least, I've noticed it going from more of a slow paced, stagnant, what you would expect a Civil War era battle to go to or be, into more of a, like a brawl, basically. So I've enjoyed it quite a bit because that's the kind of gameplay I really enjoy. So
He likes blobbing.
Henkel, how about you?
I remember like when this came out and I remember, like, going in War Rights Discord and it just being a complete argument amongst everybody in the community. I guess I would just say adapt to the new changes, because there are plenty of changes that are going to happen to this game, many more updates. And I guess, players had to adapt to when, the update came out, when, you could actually see the morale bar go down.
Yeah.
Like before, you would just kind of have to pretty much guess. And, obviously, hey, if they're not at breaking at 18 minutes, we got to, change up what we're doing. And we adapted to that. And, we adapted, to that, morale system that was added. And I think players just need to do the same thing here. Things change, and, that's just life. So I don't really notice it too much. The only thing that I'll probably do different is I'm definitely going to target the flag more. Shoot that motherfucker down so nobody gets their respawns. Especially now if, players are going to respawn quick. But you'll notice it more in pubs because I believe, we play with the 5-second timer activated. I believe in Southern Aggression, and don't, quote me on this, that it is played with it off. So
yes.
I believe we play
PSA is 10 seconds.
Yeah, so we play normal 10 seconds. So event wise, it's it's not really effective, but I guess for the pub players, it's obviously the 5-second. But in my opinion, just adapt to it. It makes you a good leader if
Do you prefer
change.
one over the other, Henkel?
I really don't care, because I play pubs all the freaking time, and I play events all the time, and I see both. It's good that you get faster respawns for your own team. It sucks that the other team gets faster respawns, because it feels like you just killed a shit ton of them, and then boom, there's 42nd back with all their 40 guys, and they just it just felt like you didn't do any damage. But also at the same time, I'm like, oh shit, I got like all my guys back, and now we're organized and ready to go. So it comes with its pros and cons, but that's the game.
Yeah.
That's the game.
So I had one more question, and I guess I feel like it would be more fun if it was kind of a free-form thing, because you are the first VA Cav. So let's talk about horses.
Oh, no.
Do you have any ventilation and frustration that you need to get out?
Frustration? No.
Johnson's been here longer, so I mean, he's been waiting for horses since like he was probably like an elementary school kid.
Dude, I stole my mom's credit card to kickstart this thing. So, like, I don't know, man.
Mama Johnson, dude.
Shut up. Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, like with horses coming to the game, I'm not expecting groundbreaking, like, oh my god, this is insane levels of gameplay. Like, I'm not expecting masked up cavalry charges. If they do that, I think that's not what it should be, because, cavalry during the Maryland
didn't really
campaign
charge in the Civil War.
Well, they did charge, but it's predominantly, like, at this point, like, you weren't seeing that yet, right? Like, you had it on occasion, but, like, the clashes were only Cav v Cav, and that wasn't during like, they had most of the engagements in the Maryland campaign between cavalry was, like spontaneous encounters. They shoot each other with pistols and run away, right?
Yeah.
So my hopes with horses, if they do come, is, of course, we see the implementation for officers, like they said, ride them around the battlefield, get the orders out quickly, but they would have to rework the company system, because then you have a company officer running away from his men to go do something else. So, they need to rework that. Honestly, artillery is going to get the biggest use out of this, I think, anyone else.
Really
so, horse-drawn artillery, but I don't think any of the current skirmish maps really are going to, like, be useful. So maybe Conquest, maybe Contention, but I think if you wanted to have it like, Hell Let Loose, or was it Squad 44 now, where you have all those elements being used, Cav, RE, infantry, you need to open this map up, like, massively. I know Sevi talks about nonstop, like, a brigade mode, right? Like, I think something like that, where the map is entirely playable, I think that's where this stuff would shine, and it's just for transportation. Otherwise, I think it's not really going to be of much use to anyone. So I'm excited for if it does come. I'm excited to test it out, see what we can do with it, and go from there, right? But I'm not expecting groundbreaking, like, gameplay, right? So
Agreed.
I feel like it would really give the cavalry regiments in game like a meaning to their name, other than just we play from a different manual than you guys do, and we have cavalry in our name. Okay, cool. We still fight with muskets just like everyone else does.
Yeah.
It would really, I think, in a lot of the regiments that play with point sets or any other cavalry manuals, test if they actually know how to implement it. And everyone's going to have that learning curve when cavalry comes in, because right now we're trying to implement a cavalry manual for pretty much dismounted or infantry fighting, not necessarily for cav. So there's obviously going to be a learning curve, but I do think, as Johnson mentioned earlier, there's guys in our regiment who don't play anymore because they want cavalry, and when it comes back, they'll come back.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I feel, at least I don't know, I feel that our regiment, if they did introduce cav, and this would be the same for every regiment across the board that plays as cavalry, just going to see such a massive influx in their recruits, and it's going to put us where we want to be a lot faster and a lot easier than how we have to go about it now. I do agree that having cavalry on a skirmish map is going to be absolutely chaotic and useless unless it's one of the larger skirmish maps we have in game.
Like hookers.
So it would, I think it would push the community more towards contention and conquest, or the private servers would have to have those conversations about, hey, are we going to use the cavalry? Are we not going to use the cavalry? If we do, how are we going to go about implementing it? So it'll have its pros and its cons, but I think it would be it would probably complete the game in some aspect. Like, you're a Civil War game, but you don't have
cavalry.
You don't have cavalry. And I was going to say one of the most important, but that's arguable between historians and video gamers and everybody who knows anything about the Civil War. It's arguable how effective they were, depending on how you feel about cavalry. But I think, it would probably just complete the game in some form. It wouldn't be, like, oh, yeah, we're done. We're sham bam, game's finished. There'd obviously be more they need to improve on, but you'd have that a plug for the whole, so.
If I could interject, I just want to add on to something, because Connor just brought it up, is that, with events and how events are played, right, you don't always get to see cavalry being used, or if it is used, it's limited, just because it isn't cavalry is overpowered in game, right? Like, the pistols just make or break, like, a line, right? So especially those events that say, okay, you can have upwards of 25 guys in it, or there's no limit, for instance, right? So definitely, I think the best use for cavalry, like with horse-mounted cavalry, would be in events that allow us to make our own rules, or like modern resources, for instance. Like, I think cavalry honestly will take, if mod tools comes out, we can make our own events, we can make our own maps, we can push the boundaries of existing maps. I think that's when we'll see the proper use in it, because as it stands right now, it's gonna have to be like super limited. Like, you're not gonna be able to fire off of it, otherwise you got guys running at you with 6 revolver rounds on a massive animal. Like, it's gonna be OP. So I think they really need to figure out, and they need to be smart with how they're gonna implement it. And then, of course, events too, that's another thing, right? So
I think it's just gonna be officers and artillery, which I hope so, because I'd love to have it.
I feel like if they did give officers horses, there should be like an option where you could dismount it and have one of your NCOs take that horse and be a runner.
That would be cool.
Runners on horses would be really cool, and that would definitely help out a lot of these events.
I think that would be more useful than officers mounted, because I don't see the point in officers being mounted on horses, especially company level. I
wouldn't even be on it, but I mean, that would allow like an event like the Southern Aggression that uses no Steamchat or any sort of coordination other than messengers to actually be willing to try out conquest and contention, because you have horses now. You can send out messengers across the battlefield, better than having freaking Sergeant Robinson over here having his ass double quick across freaking farmlands to go find another unit.
I would appreciate the horse. It'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely.
You just hear Wilkes, because Wilkes doesn't stop when he's running. He goes the entire length of the line. You just hear Wilkes go, "Hey," and he's gone.
Its biggest implementation, if initially, would definitely be artillery.
Yeah, I agree.
We're charging at 30 what? 32? 30 what? 30 what?
Just runs away.
All right, guys. I think we kind of covered how we feel about the game. Moving on to something that's more kind of specific, but honestly also kind of a fun question. I want to start with Dennis. Dennis, what's your favorite weapon in the game?
The pistol. Give me my pistol and I'm good to go.
Okay, but if you had to pick a rifle.
No, for fuck's sake. The one with the bucking ball.
The 42?
Springfield
42.
1842.
Yeah.
Yep.
Without a doubt.
That's fair. That's fair. And if you couldn't pick the 42?
Oh boy. Give me the sword then. I'll poke you to death. And if
A
that doesn't
rifle.
work, I'll bore you to
Then a
death.
rifle.
A rifle must
Sabers can shoot.
in your dreams, Henkel.
No, I can't.
Just say
give
the
you a
Enfield.
start.
Just say the
Say what?
Enfield. Say the Enfield.
Yeah, the Enfield, without
Right.
a doubt.
Oh my
Without
god.
hesitation.
Enfield.
Based. Okay. Henkel, what's your favorite weapon in the game?
Ooh,
No artillery pieces.
shut up. That is true. The 3-inch ordnance.
That's my favorite rifle, the 3-inch.
It is a rifle gun.
That is true. Lorenz.
Lorenz?
I love it.
Okay, yeah.
I'll go with Lorenz.
I'm gonna cue Sebi. Remove compression ball.
I'm
Should
gonna
not be in the
compress
game.
my balls in his face.
Robinson, what's your favorite weapon?
I got to go with the sharps or the infield.
Yeah?
Family
Based.
friendly, guys. Family friendly.
All right. I like to see the Enfield crowd. Johnson, what's your favorite weapon?
Give me a sharps, man. I don't care. Carbine, rifle, give it to me.
Trash.
I got
Yeah.
That's right.
Do you prefer the rifle
Right.
over the carbine?
carbine, bro. Get the carbine, you get the pistol.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter which gun he has, he always misses. So
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. I am probably the worst shot in this unit. Although I have
Well, that's
every
good that you're an
marksmanship
officer.
accolade. Don't ask me how I
There's
got
a reason why we just give him the binoculars and let
Yeah,
him lead because he
yeah.
can't hit shit.
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Connor.
Are we talking gameplay or just like rifle based off of what?
The one
it's
you
meant
enjoy using the most.
The one you pick.
The one you pick in the deployment
so the rifles that we get more often than not are the Springfields or the Enfields.
scene.
I surprisingly would say I enjoy the Springfield 61 more than I enjoy the Enfield.
Okay.
But
You're wrong, but
my
okay.
my favorite rifle in game, and I know a lot of people hate it because it doesn't work the way it's supposed to work in real life, would be the Whitworth. I absolutely love
Kick
the
him
Whitworth.
off stage.
Your choices are disgusting.
So
Good luck using a fucking bayonet.
All right. All right. This one is a little bit controversial because we might be teaming up on Henkel here, but also we're ending towards the near end of the interview. Just letting you know. But what do you guys think the role of artillery has in the game, and can you win any map without it? Johnson, go.
Oh boy. The role of artillery is to destroy the enemy from far distances.
That's right.
Effectively. That's right. I don't know. There's some maps that really like you need to have artillery, but then there's some maps that you can forgo it. Like for instance, I'm one of those people who say Cook's countercharge. Fuck the arty, leave it. It's a waste of tickets.
Agreed.
Especially like Garland's USA artillery. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
Roll it up what is that? Terrible. But I think it comes down to the map. I think it comes down to the map and which side you're on.
Right.
But yeah, it comes down to that, man. Honestly, there's been so many times where batteries have been like they really changed the outcome of an event. Like for instance, I think the most shameful defeat of the first VA is our first matches, or one of our first matches in Southern Aggression. We were playing as the first VA. We did not have any artillery on Nicodemus Hill. And regardless, we had pistols or not, we just got obliterated because the enemy team the USA had fucking cannons. They had like 2 batteries worth of it.
Shout out
like
20th Mass.
20th Mass, yeah, on your spreadsheets. And then,
Parker.
and then what do you call it? We didn't have any on our side, and we were just getting pummeled. And It was so one-sided, right? And then you go back to another event where we're on the opposite side, we're attacking, or we were defending, and we had the artillery. It was just completely like 180. Like you just saw like it's you need them on some maps, right? Like some maps you need it, some maps you can forego it. So I think it's circumstantial. I think it really does depend.
Yeah.
Good artillery can definitely make or break, though, depending on the map. For sure.
I agree.
All right, Henkel.
And who's leading it?
That's true. I don't think artillery's role is to be the destroyer of tickets and the enemies. Well, obviously the enemy's morale, but we are a support role. All the tickets, I leave that, to the infantry, to take the enemy tickets. I'm quite literally a support role. But I do agree, certain maps you do need it. Obviously, the one Johnson mentioned, zero battery on the CSA on Nico Hill. The Union can literally stand out, anywhere on the field and could go anywhere they want and not have to worry about, a cannon blowing them up. Obviously, same with, Harper's Graveyard. I'm sure if Harper's Graveyard CSA didn't play artillery on there, it's obviously, a different situation for the Union. So, it has its, important roles. Like obviously Cooks, like, fuck that battery. There's no point in playing on it, in my opinion. But we are a support role. Anytime, and it's way perfect if you can get a shot off on a unit and, your friendlies can, charge in right after, they're all knocked down and blown up and their flags down. It can, really, really good infantry and artillery coordination, is really important for the game. But, we're pretty much just a support role. We're not, like I said earlier, to take tickets. We're to support the infantry and they'll take the tickets. Are there times that, I blow up the shit up of a line and, tickets drop? Yeah, but I just, most of the time, I want to support my infantry units. So sometimes, like, if there's a unit in front of me that's not engaged with my infantry, I'm not shooting them because they're not actively engaged with, my friendly units. If my friendlies are fighting a target that I see and they're, exchanging volleys, independent fire, whatever, yeah, I'm going to hit the shit out of them because then that gives an opportunity for, my team to, outgun them and take their tickets because most of them will be, out of line skirmishing tickets or eventually just charge them. That's more important than, just wiping a line that's just not doing anything. So yeah, it's pretty much a support role in my opinion. And yes, it's certain maps, it, make or break, a team winning or not.
Connor, what do you think?
Before I answer, I want to point everyone to the stage chat where Williams said take a shot every time Henkel says support role, and I came back with we're
I'm already wasting.
Dude, we'd all be absolutely trashed right now.
I fucking hate you guys. I don't know why. Stop bullying me before I leave for IBB.
Oh God.
I agree with both parties in that Henkel and Johnson. Without artillery, you really do worry about, we're about to go stand out in this field and get absolutely obliterated. I have to be more conscious of where I put the guys at. If we are getting hit or if there's a shot that's near us, I'm like, oh, we got to move. Like right now they're dialed in. They missed that shot by 10 yards. They're going to hit us with the next one. So it's if you don't have artillery, it's definitely a lot more terrifying to be on that battlefield. But I agree with Henkel that it's more of a support role and not a destroyer role. Like every event we play in, you get one gun and one caisson. If you run out of that ammunition by the time that battle's over, you're absolutely useless to us.
Oh, I still have ammo from HL's battery, so
yeah. We can't, sit back and hope our artillery hits every single shot of their ammunition and absolutely obliterates the other team's tickets. Because even if they did that, they might drop them half a morale state, or if we're lucky, a full morale state, depending on how many guns we have. But it's I always enjoy having artillery. I know there's a lot of guys in our regiment who only play artillery, like solely play artillery. That's what they're here for. It's their passion. It's great. Yeah. Shout out to Williams.
Fuck that guy.
I've enjoyed playing it myself, so I think it's got its pros and cons. A con definitely with a smaller unit. If you have 3 or 4 guys going to play artillery, that's less guns than you have in the line.
Yeah.
But without it, your team is or can be utterly helpless in open engagements. But then you have the flip side where if you do have artillery, like on Colquitt's the other day, I think that was Friday, Southern Aggression. They lost that battery within the first 10 minutes of the event and didn't get to play it for another 20. So they merged with the line, and then by the last 10 minutes of the event, we retook the battery position, and they were able to play artillery again. So I agree with Johnson that there are definitely Johnson and Hinkle that there are definitely maps that are absolutely useless and should never have artillery on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just never appreciate it when I'm running around an open field and 42nd PA doesn't miss a shot on our regiment and only our regiment.
I think you guys mentioned destroyer, as the destroyer role versus support role. If there's any battery in this game where I feel like the destroyer role is attached to any artillery unit, it's 42nd PA. I mean, they're so deadly, right?
Those dudes don't miss, bro.
They don't.
It's ridiculous.
They've been doing it for so long.
Yeah. They got it all nailed down.
Mattis is just a great officer, and they have some highly skilled gunners.
Yep,
they're so good at what they do. It's ridiculous. So if I ever play in an event and I know 40 seconds on the other side, I'm automatically like, okay, who's got counter battery today, guys?
It's me, baby.
No,
That's something that I'm surprised no one brought up is counter battery. That's such a Henkel's going on about support role. That is such an important thing too, right?
Yeah.
Like you can go on maps and just like have the artillery completely forget about shooting at infantry. Just having that range war between themselves it can be fun as hell sometimes and create some really awesome moments. But just sometimes it's yeah, we're not gonna talk about that, Rob, when I feel like them. But sometimes it's more important, right? Because try to think of that map. I forget the name. It's on South Mounts when the Iron Brigade's charging up the hill.
Hatches?
Can't remember the
Coxes? Or is it?
No, it's not
no.
Coxes.
Hatches?
It's with is it Hatches? It's the one with the massive hill. You have the battery on top of the hill for CSA shooting downwards.
That's Colquitt.
That's Colquitt's.
Is it Colquitt's?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So on Colquitt's, I think that's a map where honestly, Union battery is targeting that top of that hill, and CSA battery should be shooting down at the fucking enemy battery.
Yeah,
they have 2 pieces on there.
Yeah, very few
6.
times, because most of the time, what are guys gonna? What's the Union gonna do? They're gonna rush into the woods, right? Because they're not gonna want to get shot with artillery. No one's standing out in the open on that map, right? So that creates a point where it's like, all right, CSA battery, our priority is getting those guns flipped because we're just gonna get our infantry just gonna get shot to pieces. So I think those are really awesome moments, and those are really fun when you have those giant range wars, especially on Nicodemus.
yeah.
There's been times where the artillery on Nicodemus firing back and forth at each other. I think that really can overshadow at times the blasting away at the infantry and forcing them into the woods or forcing them away from the left flank of CSA. So I think that's another important thing is counter battery and really making sure that you are silencing enemy guns and you're supporting your infantry, keeping them alive. I think that's the more important thing.
100%.
I mean, and last thing I'm going to put into it, in my opinion, I think my ideal role for artillery is not really necessarily to destroy or obliterate enemy units, but more so to disrupt them. Like if we're planning a charge on a unit that's pretty much in a well-defended position, like whether it's a wall or rocks or however it may be, if you get a well-placed artillery shot or 2 in there and you got a bunch of their dudes laying on the ground, those are easy tickets.
Yep.
That's what I mentioned earlier. The support role, and perfectly timed arty shots, and perfectly timed coordinated charge at the end.
Yeah, perfectly timed artillery shots in the rear of our friendlies as they're charging a position.
Shout out to Baron for blowing up all of HL.
Not to spend too much time on this question, but just quickly, Dennis, do you have any thoughts about artillery?
Well, we may not diminish battery because they can have a big impact on morale. If infantry has problems pushing through and they get one good shot from arty, the morale goes up and they create an opportunity and they can flip the battlefield in one shot. From time to time. So
for clarification for our audience, he's talking in real life, not in game.
Yeah, I assumed so.
Continue, Alden.
Yeah, that was about it.
Yeah. All right.
No, I definitely would agree with that.
Yeah.
There's so many times where we're sitting here engaging a unit and we're getting decimated, but not to the point where I'm thinking, oh, we need to pull out of here. And the next thing you know, you just see a puff of like a 20-foot puff of gray smoke and followed by a crap load of red and pink mist. And you're like, oh, look at that. Beautiful.
Yes. And you call it out
Yep,
in
and
chat.
then you're good to go.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, I'm charge bayonet. Get in there, boys.
Yeah.
Sound pads blaring. We're going in, baby.
Okay, guys.
Beautiful moments.
Final question for tonight. And I felt pretty happy about this question to finish off. Is, in your guys' opinion, what is the most difficult aspect of the game for people to grasp? Starting with Connor.
The timer. Definitely the timer. So often you'll find that your team's not doing anything and you wait till the last 10 minutes of the round to finally get together and coordinate something that might have worked a lot sooner than it did.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time you actually get in there and implement it, you have your entire team spawning from main with less than 2 minutes in the match. And you're just like, there's no point. There's no way we're going to get up to this point and retake it. So I think honestly, it's the timer, and a little subdivision of that. The timer would be like what the morale states are at that time.
I feel that a lot, especially at Wars of Session. Johnson, what do you think?
5-man skirmish units do not help the team. They cause more tickets than actually help. No, I don't know. The hardest part to grasp, I think, is honestly, I think it's the fact, like are we talking from an event perspective or just like as an individual, like new guy to the game?
Not like something like Connor was mentioning, like in game, like when you perform as a team, or just the game in general.
I think honestly is the counterattack mechanic. I feel like people don't use it that often. Like we often see, or at least maybe in my experiences when I've been playing with certain regiments, I find this definitely a lot more on the EU side of things than on the NA side, is that people don't take advantage of the counterattack, right? Like,
Right.
Their immediate go-to is, okay, fuck, the enemy's captured, we got to recapture. It's like, no, just, hold on to it. Let's kill as many as we can. Get them down to last stand. Why not use it, right? So I find there's a lot of times where guys will do that. They'll capture, then, recapture immediately, or people will capture immediately, like as soon as the game starts, which sometimes is beneficial, sometimes is not. So I think that's something that guys need to work on.
Yeah. Henkel?
Morale system. It was something. It's something that I still struggle. Sometimes with certain maps, but the understanding of tickets, morale stages, what skirmishing, information out of line, all of that stuff, especially for a new player, can be heavily confusing, and it's
ticket and
more
balance,
definitely, and it's different on every map you play. And obviously, the counterattacking as well. But it gets worse when it's a lot harder for an officer too, because you have to think of that as well, like the game mechanics. But you also have to lead your men, and you also have to communicate with other units. So if you have the best understanding of all three, you can make a really good leader in this game. But yeah, definitely the hardest grasp is definitely that morale system.
Dennis, what do you think?
Well, it's not about mechanics or system or tickets for me, but more on what impact the game has on people. For example, and it's mostly towards new players and outsiders that don't play huge regiment battlefields and stuff like that, or other games. But a game like this can have a big impact on people. And the best, how do you say it, example that I can bring up is Barry's ceremony yesterday. I think it's beautiful how a gaming community can come together and help each other out in ways that people don't understand. because for them it's just a game. But at the end, we're a community, and that's something that people outside or new players have hard time grasping that on how people do stuff like that for each other, and it's a beautiful thing, and that's why I love playing these games so much. That's something that you don't find playing Assassin's Creed by yourself, for example. So
I think that's a great point. And it's not one that I personally think about a lot, but I think that's true. Especially, I don't know if you guys play a lot of reenactment events or anything like that, but there's a lot of ceremonies at the end where people just get together, and you really feel that energy, right? I think that was a great point, Dennis.
thank you.
Robinson?
I was really hoping you'd forget about me this question. That's gonna be really tough to follow, Alden.
We're ending on you, buddy.
That's gonna be really tough to follow.
No, fuck
No,
up.
the timer, definitely the timer. As someone that's pretty new to leading, knowing when to cap, when not to cap, when to hold the point, when not to hold the point, that's something that I struggle with, and I think that new players struggle with a lot. Understanding.
So just leading in the game, I would agree
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I agree too.
Yeah.
Why is there no kill log? Why can't I see my hit markers? What the
Where
fuck?
can I see my kills and my deaths? KD.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then finding my KD in the main menu. That's
Are there
I
horses?
still can't find that.
Yeah. Where are the horses? Where are
Well,
the
actually,
horses over there?
isn't that something that's coming out with the website and stuff that people get to see KD? Or is
I
that just
don't.
something
I
they
don't
brought
think
up?
so. I think it's just maybe like
The
a service record.
shit.
Maybe that would be cool.
Community wants horses. Atlas creator. Best we could do is fucking service record.
Yeah. But I mean,
Family friendly.
I think we're done here. I want to thank you guys for having me here and letting me hear what you are about and seeing what you guys' opinions are on the game. And you guys offered up a lot of opinions, actually. I enjoyed hearing it.
Oh yeah, we're opinionated, baby.
Oh yeah, that's what I like to see.
I mean, we do fight for the South.
Yeah.
You have to tell us if you're a cop. Remember that legally.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed having me. And for those watching, thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And
You too. See you here in about 40 minutes, Gene.
yeah.
Thanks for having us on your podcast.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we spent an hour and 40 minutes. But yeah, I think we had a good time. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye. Have a beautiful night.
See you, Gene.
Virginia.
Virginia.